Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Patrice, and this is my Embellish Life. In today's episode, we are going to have a chat about Vogue's 9259. So, if that's something you're interested in, let's get in it. So, it's been a while, guys. Yes, it's been a while from my last YouTube video. Life was lifing. That's all I'm going to say. Life was definitely lifing, but I am here to deliver on my promise. My last video when I talked about my sewing plans for a runway event that I had to attend to, with the dress code being island chic, color code green. And I decided to make Vogue's 9259. Yes, this pattern here. We're going to talk about this pattern. Look, the shenanigans that occurred with this easy Vogue pattern. It wasn't easy for me, oh, it wasn't easy. But but I got through it. I got through all the shenanigans and I enjoyed myself at the event. And now I am here about what? 2 weeks later to talk about it. Listen, listen. Oh gosh, let's go. So Vogue's 9259, it's an easy Vogue pattern that comes with three different views. Now, the pattern itself, it's a jumpsuit. Yes, it is. It's a wide leg jumpsuit. And what attracted me to it was actually the top portion of it because it's an halter and it's a low back halter, and I absolutely loved it. Now, there's three different views to this jumpsuit. There's view A, which is the short romper. View B is kind of mini, is sort of midi length, and then view C is the longest length. Now, originally, I wanted to do view C, which is the longest version of it, but I ended up having to do view A. And I'll tell you, I told you some shenanigans happened. They did. So, the pattern is said to be an easy Vogue pattern. I mean, which is true, that the shenanigans that occurred didn't have to do with any difficulty in putting the pattern together per se. So it is an easy pattern and it has six pattern pieces. But before I talk about the pattern pieces, let me just show you the fabric that I use again, just for a bit of a refresher. So this was the fabric that I used. It's linen, the linen print. It's predominantly green, but it does have some blue and yellow and gray accent colors to it. It has that island feel to it, which is what I was going for. And you guys know that I also like to mix and match my fabric, so I decided to pair it with some of the green cotton fabric that I had in my stash as well. So in the end, I ended up using these two. Now let me see if I can show you this um, garment. It's sort of hanged up on this hanger in a sort of way. But anyway, we'll make it do what it do. So yes, so this is the outfit. Oh, I'm not doing a good job today at all. And of course, here is the back. I'll pop a picture in so you can get a better view of the outcome of it. But as you can see, I used the green for part of the front, the band, and also the back. And then I used the printed fabric for the other half of the top and the um the trouser pant portion of it. Now, as I previously mentioned, that this pattern calls for 6 pattern pieces. So there's the front, there's the band, there's the back portion, there's the front part of the trouser, the back part of the trouser, and pockets. This also came with pockets. Yes, it did. Here's my pocket, and I also used the green cotton fabric for it. So, yes, it came with 6 pattern pieces. Now, let me tell you about the shenanigans that I had with this fabric. Now, from the very, very, very beginning, I had shenanigans. You guys know this was not the original fabric that I wanted. There was another fabric that I ordered that I was super disappointed in that I couldn't use. That's where the shenanigans started months ago. And it just wouldn't leave me alone. And so, summing up this project, the shenanigans just continued. I mentioned previously that I wanted to sew the longest version of the fabric of the garment. Let me tell you what happened. So, and it was a foolish mistake on my behalf because when I usually cut out patterns to the fabric, I usually cut out the largest pieces first, and then I go down to the smallest pieces. If um that is sometimes I will lay out everything on the fabric just to see the placement and stuff like that, depending on the space that I have. If I don't, depending on where I'm working and I don't have a lot of space, well, I will just do it piece by piece and I will put down the largest garment first. Not the largest garment, the largest pattern piece first. I don't know what happened. All I knew is that my pattern placement didn't happen how it was supposed to happen, and therefore I the fabric got jacked up. Let's just say that. And I bought enough fabric. I did purchase enough fabric. I purchased 4.5 yards at 58. No, this fabric was 60 inches wide. So I had more than enough fabric. So what happened is that instead of me doing my usual and cutting out everything one time, starting from the garment, the largest to the smallest, I divided my work and I said, okay, let me just cut out the top part first and then sew it up, and then I go back to the bottom part of it and do that. Biggest mistake ever. Biggest mistake ever. Because as you notice, you know, there are 2 different garments for the top. So when I place um this pattern on the single fabric, because of the length, the unique shape of the fabric, because of the pattern piece, because it comes. Let me see if I could just because of the unique shape of the pattern piece. Is this is just one pattern piece. You don't connect the straps to it. It's just one large pattern piece. So when I cut this on the single part of the fabric, it left an irregular shape on the fabric. Had I cut the trousers first, it wouldn't have been a problem. But because I didn't, it caused a problem. So when I was about to cut out the trouser part of the fabric, there was this huge space because of this strap portion that I couldn't just get around. And I'm like, okay, okay, okay. So that is what happened. So I ended up having had to cut the shortest part of of this pattern. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take that loss. That's the other shenanigan that happened with this fabric, with this pattern. In terms of the adjustments that I made to this fabric, the size that I cut between I cut a size 18. Yes, I did. Now, I always knew that I was going to have issues with the bust region of this garment. I always do have issues when I make halter dresses and garments of this nature for some odd reason. So I was prepared of adding some pleats or some gathers in this region in this region of the dress. I was prepared to do that. What I wasn't prepared for is that the length of the romper view A is hella short. Hella short. I'm not even joking. I am 5 feet 5 inches. And when I first put the garment, the piece together to try it on, my first fitting of it, I couldn't even bend over without exposing all of my glory hallelujahs. I was, it was that short, and I didn't even expect it to be that short. So I had to add another 6 inches. So what I ended up doing, I had to, because I had already cut out the the trouser part of it. I just had to cut out, six fabric about 6 inches and just attach it to to the trouser to get me to a decent length. I'm just saying that was just too much of indecent exposure. So you could hardly see the seam of it, but right here, you can see there's a seam where I did an addition. So yes. So in terms of the other adjustment that I did in the breast portion of it, like I said, it was far too large when I tried it on. So I could have gotten away with a 16, and I knew I should have cut a 16, even though I was thinking it would have been too small. I should have followed my instinct. So what I ended up having to do in the breast portion as well, I had to insert two pleats on each part. So there's the a pleat there, and also on this part as well. There's uh, there's also the pleats here and there. It's more hidden with this fabric because of the print, but you know it's like an extra design feature, but it's actually to make the best portion of it fit. So those were the two adjustments that I made, and those are two extra shenanigans that occurred. So with all of that, the fitting of it, before the adjustments made, the garment was too big. It was absolutely too big. After I added the pleats and after I added the pleats to the top part of the garment, the fit was good. The bottom part of the trouser, in terms of the fit was always good at the bottom part of the trouser. The issue I had was the length. So once those two was corrected, the fit was absolutely brilliant. So, in terms of the difficulty of the pattern, now Vogue 9259, it says it's a very easy Vogue. The pattern is easy. I'm not going to sit here and tell any lies. The pattern is easy, even though I had a lot of shenanigans. The pattern is easy if you get the fitting right. Like I said, I always have issues when I make halter dresses and stuff like that for some odd and strange reason. But once you get the fitting right, the pattern is easy. Like I said, 6 pattern pieces. It's not a difficult pattern. It really isn't a difficult pattern. The instructions are clear, the pictures are clear, everything is clear. It is an extremely easy pattern once you get the fitting right. If you don't get the fitting right, you'll get a very unattractive garment. Like I said, it's a halter top. And that fit is everything for a halter garment. So once you get the fitting right, the pattern is easy. So what are my thoughts about this pattern? Look, I love this pattern. I definitely like this pattern. I will give this pattern a 4 out of 5 simply because I had to get my fitting right of it, but I absolutely like this pattern and I would encourage anyone to sew it up. What I'm noticing about this pattern is that when I was sewing it up, I realized that I do like the trouser portion of the pattern as well. So I'm thinking of actually making it a separate when I decide to make this pattern again at a later date. I do actually like the how wide leg and how flared it is. So that's another project for the docket. At some later point in time. But the outcome of this garment was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I wore it to the event. I enjoyed myself immensely. I was so comfortable in the garment. Now, it's a halter and it's low back. So I did have to use the breast tape. I did use the desk tape to secure these bad boys that I have. But I was so comfortable in the garment. Absolutely love it. And I will make it again. I'm just saying. All right, lovies, that is all that I have today for Vogue 9259. I hope this is a pattern that you will consider putting apart, making a part of your spring and summer wardrobe when that season come around again. We know this is definitely not something for the winter season for you guys that have a distinct winter, but it's something to think about for the definitely warm and the cooler months. Yes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also follow me on Instagram to keep up with my other crafty shenanigans. I hope you have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Think lovely thoughts. Keep on smiling. And always remember to make beautiful and wonderful things. All right, lovies. I'm out of here. Bye.